Hey gun people, gonna do got a little snow out here in Texas. So I put these gloves on. These are kind of the gloves that I usually wear if I just want to keep my hands working with firewood or doing something. I have a few sets of these, so these are standard gloves. You want to use the gloves that you normally use. I got a couple questions about, nobody wants to come out in the snow or rain and shoot. Well, there may be a time that you're gonna have to get into shooting in those situations, and it would be nice. If I'm talking loud, I got earplugs in, I'll try to tone it down. It would be nice to be able to say, I trained in different climates of weather. My training consists of shooting in the snow, shooting in the rain, shooting in low light conditions at night, early morning, shooting with the sun on my face, with sunglasses, without sunglasses, with gloves on, with gloves off. All these things will help you if you're ever involved in a shooting. For one, it'll help in your defense, that it shows that you're taking your training serious, you're going through your training, you're doing what you need to do. On top of that, it just gives you the experience of doing things. When your fingers are cold, the blood rushes from the fingers, like in fight or flight. The blood rushes to the large muscle groups, so you lose dexterity, fine motor skills in your fingers, toes, and the colder you get, the less you want to move, because all the heat goes to keep your internal organs warmer. So it's natural for your toes and fingers to go numb. Well, in fight or flight, kind of the same thing happens. So shooting in the cold, when your fingers are tight and you're concentrating on the cold, it forces you to think a little bit more, to focus on what you're doing, and to kind of give you a little bit of experience of fight or flight. I'm still got this cold coming on just a little. It's just getting to the end. I'm on some antibiotics, so hopefully, I can't stay in the house forever. I'm getting stir crazy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover a couple things. One, in the winter, there's a lot of different things that people wear to cover their gun up. Now, I usually do from the hip draw, and I usually just throw on my web gear because it's easy. I've got different holsters that I can strap onto my belt, but normally I carry it either in a hip carrier or in my ankle carry. So this gun, my gun is here. If I just had a sweatshirt on and somebody asked me this question, could you go over some different drawing techniques when you're drawing a firearm under concealment? I mean, you just have to figure it out for yourself on what you want to do. If I have a shirt like this, then I want to go out and shoot where I'm covered like this and practice pulling up and drawing. If I just got a shirt like this, then I want to practice clearing and drawing. Most of the time as cops, if we were working undercover, we just have a cover shirt or jacket. So our gun was always available, and if we had to draw, it was a simple rake and draw. Just throw your clothes out of the way and draw. If the gun is up here and it's not covered, it's usually pretty easy to get down here and to get your gun out. With all your clothes on, it's kind of hard to find a holster. You want to get caught. I just watched a video where some police chief pulled his Glock out. He was looking at a gun in a gun store. He had a jacket on with one of those little zip ties that you pull to tighten with a little plastic thing. Well, when he put his gun back in his holster, and the zip tie got in between the trigger. So as he tried to clear his shirt, because the holster got caught some of the shirt, so as he pulled his shirt out, it caught on a gun, fired his gun, shot him in the leg. And he was a police chief. So, I mean, not that police chiefs are competent, they're usually more administrators than they are anything. But I just, things can happen when you got clothes on if you don't kind of figure these things out. You can do these things with an unloaded gun in a house. I'm a big proponent of dry firing. I like having a gun. I like practicing that trigger control. Squeeze the trigger, rack the slide, and then trigger reset. That will improve your shooting and your ability to stay on target and shoot better. So I like dry firing. I tell people, you sit around the house and you aim at little figurines, you aim at light sockets, you aim at the ground on a plug, you aim at screws in the wall. You sit around and you practice aiming and squeezing that trigger and focusing on the front sight. That reinforces that sight alignment, sight picture, squeeze the trigger. I'm focusing. When I'm pulling the trigger, that front sight shouldn't move. Lots of things. You know, when you're shooting with people, the biggest thing I say is trigger control for shooting. My shooting got better when I learned trigger control. Everybody I teach, as soon as I get them to figure out how to squeeze that trigger and hold it back and not pop like you see on TV, bang, bang, bang. Every video I see, I look at the trigger finger and I see this jerky, bang, 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 and I'm like, man, they don't have the trigger control down. A trigger squeeze needs to be slow, squeeze, bang, and then let loose slowly, click, hear that trigger reset, squeeze, bang. Hear that trigger reset, slowly, click. You should not be popping that trigger. That trigger and that finger needs to have a relationship to where it's smooth, it's easy. I'm not coming off the trigger, I'm not banging the trigger, I'm not mashing the trigger. So when if you've got your gun and you're carrying a jacket like this, again, the most common way to get to a jacket is a rake. You just throw it out of the way. You rake and you draw. So it can come out easy. Come on, if you got on top and a rake, now I have to rake, use my other hand to undribble and then draw. And as you can tell, I may end up crossing over here and covering this, which if you're going to cover, you need to make sure and uncover. So I usually only, like I said, carry with some sort of cover shirt if I'm doing it. Maybe a t-shirt, but not often, because a t-shirt does a thing called printing. It shows the outline of the gun. I mean, this sweatshirt's pretty thick, but if I have it tight, somebody may see that it's a gun. I don't necessarily want them to know I have a gun until I want them to know I have a gun. And when I want them to know, they'll know. Okay, but until then, I don't really want that. So again, I don't know if I've shot with these guns. I don't know if I've done a video on this or not. I don't even know if I've shot with this gun with these gloves on. Hopefully it'll work. Hopefully it will. I'll try it. Again, when you go out there and train and try these things, you have to expose yourself and your gun to these things. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this gun, see if I can get a round off pretty quick. My poor horses are like, dude, I'm going to fire a round off just so they know I'm shooting. Hey, boys. Sorry, I'm shooting over here. I just wanted to give them a little heads up because they're eating hay in there and they're covering. So I noticed because the Glock has this little safety lip right here, if I've got this soft glove on that, it really doesn't disengage that safety. And I just felt that. I really have to get my finger in that group hold to get that safety off. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my gun with a flap, fire a couple rounds. And now I got my horses paying attention to me so they're not shocked. Again, I'm walking on uneven surface. It's snowy out here. Am I sliding? Can I draw and get a gun? Can I move in the snow? Can I shoot with my gloves on? Can I do these things and still have some sort of competency level? Am I going to be as good as without gloves? Probably not. Am I going to have problems maybe manipulating? I just did a video on the rip and grip or the slingshot method and don't use. If I try to get this slide release with gloves on, very difficult. I would probably have to use this hand and really push and use some force. But grip and rip, slingshot will work with gloves. I'm not going to have a problem with that. Again, can I draw and get a round off? It's taken me a little bit longer to get a round off because I've got to force this finger into this trigger well. And it doesn't want to go through real easy when I'm right here. For some reason, it wants to catch right here with that little finger. A lot of shooters or people that will shoot will cut the glove off their trigger finger so they have the same feel. I'm not out there. If I was working, serving a warrant, going into where I was going to use my gun, then I might have a set of gloves that I had for warrant service. As a cop, we wore these very thin black gloves. Gave us good feel, wasn't a lot of padding, didn't keep the cold off, it maybe blocked the wind, but we had thin gloves. Thicker the glove, more the problems. On your ARs, you got your bottom trigger guard will open up so you can actually just slide your hand in front of the trigger, so you don't have that enclosed trigger guard. Pistols don't usually do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cover up, draw again, get a couple rounds off, make sure I can manipulate my gun. I'm getting the rounds off fairly quickly, but I'm still getting some hesitation. I'm still getting a little slowness on getting that finger in there. It's taking me a little bit more thought process to do that. But because I've done it, because I've tried it, because my fingers are a little nippy out here, my poor horses are out there, they're not eating now. I'm experiencing this in what I call a safe environment. So when I experience, or if I experience in a critical incident where something is going down bad, it's not going to be the first time. I'm going to have this information that I'm storing and putting in my toolbox to draw from. So I'm going to have to remember that. I can start pre-planning. I can prevent lag time. Remember, that lag time is from not having a plan that you know you're going to enact and just enacting it and going to muscle memory. Lag time's created when I have too many decisions, I'm thinking too much, I have to think. So if I have gloves on to prevent lag time, I'm going to want to have my gloves on. If I see something going down, the hair on the back of my neck stands up, I'm kind of thinking, hey, you know what, this doesn't really look good. Okay, don't forget, I got gloves on. I'm going to have to take an extra second to get my finger there. Maybe I want to take my glove off. Maybe I just want to be cold for the next 5 minutes and I want to have my glove off till I get out of the situation that's making me a little uncomfortable. These are just tactical things that cops do normally all the time, because we're out there and we're like, shit, man, I don't want to get... I mean, I would never go do a warrant with these gloves on. I would just be cold till I got done with the warrant, because if I'm going in a high-risk situation, I'm not going to want to be worried about gloves. If I have my thin black gloves or a set of warrant gloves with my finger open, then maybe I'd wear those. So, something else you want to do with this gun, make sure you can get your mag out. Can you get your mag out and can you seat it? Is that going to be a problem? Can you reach that mag release? Okay, I can get my mag out, I can reload. Can I go ahead and rack around? I only got 2 rounds left, so I'll get rid of these 2 rounds. And then we'll go from there. Again, remember the rip, uneven ground, maybe moving and drawing, maybe running. Okay, I got 2 rounds, I'm out. Need to get this out. I'm gonna stick this in my pocket. Can I rip this gun? Does my technique still work? Grip and rip, slingshot. Can I get my gun out? Can I use my emergency and get this slide forward? All these things that can happen in the cold, snow, or rain, the more you do it, the more you expose yourself, the better you're going to be. Again, training is all about, people are always kind of asking, what should I train? Well, you know, just handling the gun, just shooting just one mag out here, me doing this video, you're doing the same thing, spending 10 minutes out in the cold a little bit, coming out here. It exposes you to things, so it's not the first time if you're ever exposed to it in a crisis situation. So, maybe I'll stop yelling. So hopefully this helps a little bit, shooting in the snow, shooting in the rain. If you do this, like I said, some people, I'm not a big proponent of this, some people keep a logbook every time they shoot their gun. They keep it for several reasons. One, they want to know how many rounds they put through their gun. 50 rounds at the range on this date. I did moving targets, targets moving to me, and shooting in the snow. 50 rounds that day. That way they can kind of keep track how many rounds their gun has, and they have a log book of all their training. The downside to that is that log book is what's called discoverable. So if you get in a shooting, they're going to grab that log book. And if you have a gap in training, if you didn't train for 1 year and then you train 4 times, or if somebody goes, oh man, it doesn't look good, let me pencil whip this and change this, then you get into providing them information that can maybe make you look bad. The defense is going to use what they can, or the prosecution is going to use what he can or she can to prosecute you. And if you have a logbook and you represent yourself on a stand and say, hey, I do training, I'm competent, I shot the guy, I did what I was trained to do, and then your training either contradicts that or gives information that doesn't match what you said, now they can paint that picture. Now they can put that bug It's called ringing a bell. You can't unring the bell. And prosecutors use this trick all the time in court. They'll ask a question they know is inappropriate, they know they shouldn't ask it, and they know that the guy's probably not going to answer, and they know that the other attorney's going to object. But you know what? They ring that bell for the jury because you can't unring it. So when I ask you this question and the lawyer jumps up and goes, objection, the jury's going like, wow, I wonder why that attorney didn't want him to answer that. And now that bell is rung, and now it's just creating that doubt. So these lawyer tricks that they get in court are going to be used against you. And if they got your logbook and they get you to say something, or why did you practice here? Well, why did you wait so long here? And on this day where it says you did this and you shot 200 rounds, what type of ammunition was that? And what was the grain? And is that the kind you shoot, or is that what you know, it opens up. So I'm not a big log guy. I think if you go to training, you have certificates. I mean, obviously you've been to training, there's a record of it, so keep the certificates, sure. But keeping a logbook all the time, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. It's personal choice. Do what you want to do. I mean, if I get into shooting, somebody's going to be grabbing all these videos saying, hey, isn't it true you said this? And they're going to have all kind of information to either use against me or to help me. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I think I'm pretty consistent. I try to pass on the same techniques and training that I've gotten over the years from state agencies, FBI, you know, local agents, everybody that I've got training, I'm certified to teach and all this stuff, NRA, all that crap. It's just, it's there, and that's what I teach, and that's what I do, and this is what I do. So I'm as consistent as I can. Can you always find something inconsistent in what somebody says when you have statements and recordings? And, you know, of course you can. So in this digital age where everything is recorded and copied, and, you know, on my horse channel, I got a bunch of weirdos that just, you know, they want to cut and paste, and they want to take snapshots and put mean little comments because they can. Because when you put yourself out here like this, you give people the opportunity to use it in ways that's not intended. Now, can somebody take one of my videos and go, man, look at this guy. He did this and he should never, and his stance was weak. And I noticed when I was uploading my AR where I was doing that automatic, my stance wasn't as good. And when I uploaded, I went, man, that's a crappy stance. I should have been leaning more forward. I should have been more aggressive. When I was shooting automatic, I noticed it was slowingly curved my back. And you shouldn't be doing that. But I don't shoot automatic a lot, so my technique was off. Could somebody make a picture of that and say, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, look at his crappy... Sure they can. But it is what it is. So if you put something on the internet, you know, some people post on these videos out here, they're posting some crazy stuff on Facebook about I would shoot him, or if a guy breaks into my house, he's going to be sorry and all that. All those things are out there. Somebody, an enemy, a friend, somebody not even meaning anything harm, can take a picture of that, or can archive that, or Facebook, who pretty much works for the government, they are the government, they're going to share anything you do anyway. They probably got it archived, or the NSA's probably got a copy of it anyway. They're going to pull all that out later. That's why, you know, people are, and I'm kind of getting off topic here, so if you want to stop the video, that's all right. But the NSA, people are upset about the NSA watching America's people like, well, if you ain't got nothing to hide, why, you know, it's kind of like when people go, well, when the cops question you and you ask for a lawyer, you must be guilty. Because if you ain't got nothing to hide, BS. The government's responsibility is to make their case. Don't talk, don't help them. Don't say things that they can use and manipulate later to hurt you. And that's what the NSA and all this spying on America, people are set up. People are like, well, what do they care if the government? They must have something to hide. I ain't got nothing to hide. If NSA wants to listen to my phones, I don't care. I don't really care either. But what I don't want is the government keeping all these records so they can pick and choose when they want to and pull from a later date and take snippets of this and that and say, isn't it true on this date you said this, and isn't this true on this date? And they take it all out of context, but they ring that bell for the jury, and all of a sudden you look like some crazy guy because you said Obama's a dumbass, and you know, all of a sudden, oh, didn't you hate the president? Yeah, oh, well, you're anti-God. Oh, are you a communist? Are you support, you know, it just gives people information that you don't use. So putting these videos out can hurt me. I realize that, but it is what it is. I think I'm pretty consistent. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to help people that don't have access to training or money, that have to go out and pay for this training that civilians and cops give. So if it helps and people use it for the right reason, then that's great. If it makes you think, if it makes you go out and practice, I don't care if you do it the way I do it. I don't care if you do everything I say to do. But I just want you to have exposure to different mindsets and where things are coming from different, you know, I get people in different work, they can't have guns, and they email me and go, man, I can't believe that. What do you need that for? You don't need that gun. I can't believe your government lets you. If I was over there, I feel safe. you know, it's different perspective on where you live. Hopefully that helps. I got off track there on the gun use, so we'll end that there, and I'll get my butt out of this snow. All right, boys, where you at? Horses are gone.